Before we start this episode, here's a quick preview of what's coming. Take an animated trip around the world and see what it's like for teens living in other countries. Explore global issues and learn how unique America really is. Enjoy the rest of our free videos for all ages when you subscribe at PragerU.com.
Welcome to the Windy City, Chicago, Illinois. Situated in America's Midwest, Chicago is a bustling metropolis famous for food, fun, and an iconic skyline. But beneath those tall buildings, Chicago has a dark side and a long history of crime, poverty, and low-performing schools. Hoping to reduce obstacles for the city's students, leaders have pushed a new approach to education called DEI, short for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And while those words might sound nice, sometimes words can be deceiving. Equity sounds like equality, but are they the same thing? Since Chicago's schools have been practicing DEI, academic achievement has sunk, classrooms have turned more violent, and schools in tough areas are nowhere near equal to those in nice neighborhoods. Is it possible that DEI is hurting the people it claims to help? This is Felix. He lives with his mom, Sandra, and his little sister in a rough Chicago neighborhood. The winters are freezing, and going out at night is dangerous. But Felix is tough and loves his city. Earlier this year, Felix entered middle school as a sixth grader. He's very smart, and his favorite subject is math. Math makes sense, he told his mom. I know exactly when I get the answer right or wrong. Sandra agreed. She's also good at math, and she's taking night classes to become a mechanical engineer. Math treats everyone equally, she likes to say. It doesn't care who's doing the solving. Felix's elementary school was absolute chaos, filled with insults, constant disruptions, and lots of fights. But he still made good grades. Felix hoped middle school would be different. But unfortunately, sixth grade has been more of the same. On the first day, Felix didn't fully understand the math warm-up, so he asked his new teacher, Miss Sanchez, to explain it further. A boy immediately started mocking Felix, and the class roared with laughter. When Miss Sanchez came to Felix's defense, the bully violently flipped his desk over and walked out. Miss Sanchez then used the intercom to report the terrible behavior, while laughter, pencils, and rolled-up papers filled the air. Nothing's changed, Felix thought, feeling his heart sink. After school, Miss Sanchez asked her principal what the punishment would be for the boy who had left her class. But the principal seemed offended. She told Miss Sanchez, "We practice DEI on this campus, so you will need to adjust the expectations you have for some students. We believe punishments are discriminatory, so we use positive reinforcement to stop bad behavior." This was a confusing message to hear. No consequences? But it wasn't the first time DEI had left Miss Sanchez confused. Instead of learning how to teach math, most of her college education classes had been about DEI. Growing up, she had been taught to treat all people equally, so she figured a good teacher would have the same standards and expectations for every student. But her professors insisted that students' grades and behavior are determined by things like skin color or what neighborhood they live in. So it would be unfair for schools to have equal expectations. Equity, they taught, was better than equality, because equitable teaching doesn't demand correct answers or require students to behave the same. After that first day, Miss Sanchez did her best to follow her principal's instructions. She tried coaxing the students with rewards, not consequences, but everything quickly got worse. Instead of behaving, Felix's classmates took advantage. They arrived late, goofed around, and went into the halls to disturb other classes. Felix rarely got any attention because Miss Sanchez was forced to spend nearly all her time trying to manage behavior or motivate students who gave no effort towards learning. For a while, Felix didn't mind. The work was easy and he got good grades on his assignments. But everything changed once he realized his good grades didn't mean he actually knew very much. Standardized tests are the same for everyone. They are tools for judging school performance, and for comparing students from different classes, neighborhoods, cities, and even states. Late in the fall, Miss Sanchez gave her students a standardized test that was given to all 6th graders in Illinois. Felix was shocked at all the complicated charts and graphs and confused by the difficult word problems. When Miss Sanchez handed out the test results, Felix quickly opened his envelope, pulling out a report that read 27th percentile. What did this mean? Miss Sanchez told him that it meant for math, he was basically in the bottom quarter of all 6th graders in the state. But she quickly added with a smile, "Don't worry, it's one of the best scores in the school." This didn't help, so Miss Sanchez told Felix his low score wasn't his fault. She explained that in her teacher training, she had learned that tests weren't sensitive to all students and that requiring correct answers was actually racist. Felix left the classroom and wondered, what's racist about solving a math problem? In the hallway, he looked up at pictures of the school's famous alumni. A doctor, an inventor, and an architect who designed one of Chicago's famous skyscrapers. None of them were in the 27th percentile, and for the first time in his life, Felix didn't feel smart. When Sandra got home that night, she could tell something was wrong. Felix reluctantly told her about the standardized test. Sandra hugged her son tight, told him to get some paper and a pencil, and to meet her at the computer. "When I got to college," she said, "my skills were so low I had to take a special class to catch up. I was embarrassed, but I improved every day, and now I'm caught up and on my way." Sandra began playing a video with a 5th grade math lesson, but Felix was totally lost. She switched to a 4th grade lesson, and Felix recognized some things. Mother and son took a deep breath and got to work. For months, every night after dinner, Felix spent 30 minutes watching math videos and doing practice problems, and before long, he began feeling smart again. Spring came around, and it was time for another standardized test. Again, Felix saw charts and graphs and tough word problems, but he took his time and checked all his work. When the scores finally arrived, Felix's heart raced. He opened his envelope, and his eyes darted to the percentile number. 87! He accidentally shouted out loud. Miss Sanchez asked in disbelief, "How?" Felix thought of all his hard work and grinned. Maybe the test wasn't racist this time. She sank with embarrassment, and Felix said, "It's okay, Miss Sanchez. I know you tried." After class, Felix took another look at the successful alumni and shook his head. What would they think of our school now? It's summertime, and Felix is enjoying the break from school. Most days, he and his sister walk to the library. She reads and listens to story time, and Felix volunteers as a math tutor. Many kids have a hard time with mean classmates and go to schools where little is taught. So, along with teaching math skills, Felix likes giving them encouragement. Schools that practice DEI make things difficult for kids like Felix. Students who don't cause trouble and who care about learning often don't get the attention they deserve or need. 6th grade taught Felix one thing: even in a tough environment, hard work gives anyone the power to achieve success and overcome obstacles.